With that, I give the call to the member for Narungga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and congratulations on your appointment. I am honoured to take my place in the House of Assembly, to represent my community, and I am deeply grateful to the people of my electorate for their trust, support and confidence in electing me to do this role. 30 years ago, there was a very brave and strong woman named Pauline Hanson, who stood before the Australian people in Parliament for the first time. She stood hoping to make a real difference, to make our country safer and better. Some delivered a powerful speech that impacted many of us in some way. Pauline was pillared and attacked by many for raising important issues they were afraid to talk about themselves. I was one of those people who heard her and who gained the courage from her example to be brave and speak my mind. I became one of those Australians whom the polished politicians dismissed, ignored and forgot. I became one of many who looked on as the polished politicians failed to match their words with actions. What have I become today, now that I stand among that same political class in the halls of power? One of you, perhaps, but different. Real, honest, and an everyday Australian. Not a university student, not a political staffer, and not a lawyer. I worked as a lifeline counsellor, hearing the stories of many struggling Australians who needed hope, who needed someone to listen and to care. I will serve my electorate with the same approach. I will listen because I care. While many were out getting law degrees, I was out in the real world, travelling this country and seeing how Australians live. I remember many experiences across our beautiful country. I stayed in countless caravan parks and witnessed families living in tents. Everyday Australians unable to keep up with the cost of living. I witnessed a child no older than 5 living in a caravan while his father went to work and his 13-year-old sister cared for him. I saw parents with 5 children hanging their washing over trees and living in confined tents while being eaten alive by midges. What a disgrace that our country has allowed it to get to this. I stand here today before all of you in this place because, like many Australians, I have had enough. This is not a job to me, it is a service to my community. I want to be what they need, because if all the university degrees were enough and everything was going so well, you would not have a stay-at-home mother of 3 standing here doing this job. I grew up in a small country town called Gawler, born and raised in this beautiful state. Gawler is not so small anymore, but I lived there until the age of 21, and it taught me what I did and did not want for my future. I want to thank my beautiful, strong mother. I could not have asked for a better role model growing up. I witnessed an incredibly intelligent and amazing woman who taught me how to be kind and brave when I needed to be. She told me that if I worked hard enough, I could accomplish anything, and that is exactly what I did. She supported all my wild ideas, from attending poetry slams together to telling me I could be a singer whenever I burst out into song, and working as my assistant on photography sets. She also told me I would make a wonderful politician. Thank you, Mum, for always being there when I needed you. I had a father who taught me how to speak up for myself and how to talk to anyone. Thank you for giving me a love for antique shops, for teaching me that new is not always better, and for helping me see the beauty even in the difficult moments. I have an older brother who loves his football and always tried to get me to watch it. He would ask who I supported, and my response was always the opposite team to his, just to keep the healthy competition alive between us. I supported the Adelaide Crows, but when he asked me at 7 years old, I said the Bulldogs. Anything but the same as him. Now as adults, I know he will always have my back, just as I have his. I grew up learning the ways of the world, about good versus evil, and how sometimes evil is difficult to detect at first, but it is there, especially now more than ever. I learned how to survive in a tough world, particularly as a woman with an opinion. My family supported me and challenged me through all of it, and I will be forever grateful. I started out in retail, and within a year I knew exactly what path I wanted to follow, even at 15 years old. I had a drive to work hard, so I worked my way into photography and I loved it. Photography is the power to capture a moment forever, and that's important because life slips by so quickly. It was always my way of keeping moments close to my heart forever. I travelled Australia taking photos across our country. I felt happy, and life was good until it was not. Everything stopped when I lost a loved one. That experience made me realise how important it is to treasure the people we love because one day they can be gone. My world stopped and I chose a different path, helping others. I started working in a hospital and with Lifeline Australia, Crisis Support Call Centre. I studied policing, which was both interesting and eye-opening, in understanding how our system works, the role of police officers, and how important mental health support is, especially for men in Australia. We need to ensure we have proper support and services for those going through difficult times, particularly in regional areas where support is often limited. Raising awareness for those who are struggling is more important now than ever. As I was embarking on this new chapter in my life, I met my husband, Daniel, and we had our 3 beautiful girls. First came Ocean, my little blonde baby, then Summer, my curly-haired girl, and Storm, who truly lives up to her name with her piercing hazel eyes. I am blessed beyond words to be the mother of 3 beautiful girls. What a blessing from God. I believe we live in the most beautiful country in the world. There's much to love about it. But after travelling to many places, I found that my heart belongs to Kadina on the Yorke Peninsula. The reason I live on the Yorke Peninsula is because of its beauty, the beaches, the community, the fishing, and the farmland that supplies the food to Australians. I'm fortunate to be a part of such a wonderful community. I believe every life is important, including unborn babies who deserve the chance to live. As a mother of 3, I do not believe abortion is healthcare. I believe every baby and every life matters, and that many families in Australia would gladly adopt and care for children who are otherwise never given the chance at life. I am pro-life, and I stand firmly in that belief. My heart breaks for women who regret their abortions and feel they were not educated to know otherwise. My heart breaks for those who do not understand what happens to the babies in the womb when their lives are ended. I believe that those who extended the abortion laws in 2021 were very misinformed by an agenda and deeply wrong. And it is not something I can ever support. These babies matter just as much as you and I do. They have a pulse just as you and I do. They are human just as you and I are. I believe in women's rights and I believe in common sense, and that it's not common sense to abort a full-term, healthy baby. Australia was built on strong Christian values. Values of faith, family respect, personal responsibility, and helping our neighbours. While we welcome people from all backgrounds, we should never be afraid to acknowledge the Christian foundations that shaped our laws, institutions, and way of life. We must protect those values and ensure Australia remains a nation united by shared principles, strong communities, and respect for our traditions. We no longer teach God in schools anymore. When many Australians look at our education system today, they no longer recognise it. There was a time when schools reinforced strong values, personal responsibility, respect for others, and the moral foundations that helped build this nation. Today, many parents feel those values are being replaced by a growing woke agenda being pushed into our public schools. Our classrooms should be focused on reading, writing, maths, science, and equipping children with the knowledge and skills they need to succeed in life. Instead, parents are increasingly concerned about political ideology and radical gender theory being introduced to children at young ages. Many families are shocked that children are being exposed to concepts such as the so-called gender-bred person, with young students being taught complex ideas around gender identity long before they are emotionally mature enough to properly understand them. Parents send their children to school to receive an education, not to be subjected to social and political indoctrination. Madam Speaker, I am also deeply concerned about the growing normalisation of puberty blockers and other life-altering medical surgery for vulnerable young people. Children cannot legally drink alcohol, gamble, or even get a tattoo because society recognises they are not mature enough to make serious lifelong decisions. Yet, we are now seeing children encouraged down pathways that may have permanent consequences for their bodies and futures. Many parents across South Australia feel silenced for simply asking questions or expressing concern. They are not extremists, they are mothers and fathers who want to protect their children and preserve common sense. As a member of this House, I will always stand for parental rights, the protection of children, and an education system that puts learning before ideology. It is time to restore balance, accountability, and common sense in our schools and institutions. As it says in Matthew 24:12, lawlessness will increase, and the love of many will grow cold. That is what we are witnessing all around us. Regional communities deserve to be heard. Our farmers deserve to be heard. All Australians deserve to be heard, and the time is now. I will fight for Australian families so future generations do not have to suffer. I do not support net zero policies when they destroy farmland and wildlife and drive up the cost of living while doing nothing positive for this state. How can people claim they're protecting the planet while tearing down forests and destroying habitats for koalas, bats, and birds? We need to put our country first by listening to everyday Australians, not by spending money on things that are simply to look good politically. Australia is facing a housing and rental crisis unlike anything we have seen before. Everyday Australians are struggling to buy a home or even find an affordable rental, while population growth continues at record levels due to mass immigration. Mass immigration without the housing infrastructure to support it is putting enormous pressure on our communities, roads, hospitals, and housing market. Australia needs to reduce overall migration levels and focus on bringing in skilled workers who can help build the homes and infrastructure our country so desperately needs. We need a balanced immigration policy that puts Australians first and gives families and young people a fair chance to own a home and build a future. During the campaign, I heard many beautiful stories and experienced many emotional moments. I met people who had lost hope, people who had never had someone knock on their door simply to ask how they felt. People who voted for me because I listened, I cared, and I followed through. I met many commercial, recreational fishers who felt there was no point filling up the boat anymore because of the restrictions on fishing. Again and again, people asked me, "There is so much snapper, why are we not allowed to catch it?" I had many parents simply wanting to take their children out in the water to catch a snapper. The algae bloom affected parts of the York Peninsula, yes, but many locals believe it did not affect snapper numbers. If you spend time on the water, you will see it for yourself. I believe locals should be able to fish for snapper in our waters and enjoy the location they live in, just like the people in the city get to enjoy what makes them happy. We do not have half the things the city has, but we have the beach and we have the fishing, which is good enough for not only the mental health of the community, but the economy. I won't stand by and let it be taken away from those who have no idea about fishing. I also spoke to a concerned husband whose wife was booked for a caesarean section. Less than 24 hours before the procedure, they were told the surgery could not go ahead at the Wallaroo Hospital due to humidity issues. They had to drive to the Lambert-Ewan Hospital and arrange last-minute accommodation. Any woman who has had a caesarean section knows how painful a 2-hour drive home with a newborn would have been. Families should not have to endure that stress. Another man told me he had to drive 2 hours just to receive a cortisone injection in his back. I spoke to Jamie, who told me his partner is in excruciating pain with her back and was unable to get an MRI at the Wallaroo Hospital. Let us stop wasting money and start prioritising important issues like healthcare in regional areas. Let us care for our elderly population, who are too often told to travel elsewhere and pay for transport themselves. I urge this Parliament to push for accountability and investment in regional hospitals. People living in Narungga deserve reliable, safe and consistent healthcare, not last-minute cancellations and long-distance transfers. I will stand up for all regional South Australians. On this journey, I've made many lifelong friends along the way. I want to thank my friends Shannon and Courtney. You have both been a light in my life, and I am grateful to call you my friends. To my church community futures, you are deeply loved by my family and me. The way you welcomed us with open arms showed us the beauty of finding the right church, and we have found it. Throughout my campaign, I learned that nothing worthwhile is easy, especially when the odds are against you. It also made me realise how wonderful my husband is. He supported me through endless hours of door knocking and putting up hundreds of core flutes across the electorate. We made the best team, and I could not have done it without you. Thank you, Daniel. And yes, I know I once complained about having too many chickens, and yes, we made a deal that if I won the election, 6 chickens had to go. Well, I have changed my mind. I have grown to love the fresh eggs, as have our neighbours, so you can keep the chickens a little while longer. Thank you to Sadie, my golden retriever, for her support, and my one and only client who attended my beauty salon that I apparently owned during the campaign. I am still looking for this beauty salon and have not had any luck finding it. As I door knocked for 8 hours a day, I stated many times that I was looking forward to being on the floor of Parliament, on North Terrace in a city I once lived in. For those still asking, thank you, I have found it. I also want to thank my nan for showing me what a strong woman is, how to love deeply, and that it is okay not to be okay. She came to Australia from Greece as a young girl, and her family worked incredibly hard to build a life here. They assimilated into the Australian way of life and received no handouts. During the campaign, my nan lost her husband of 40 years. As I hugged her during that difficult moment of loss, I knew that because of her, I would stand here today with the strength she taught my mother and my mother passed down to me. I love you, Nan and Phil. To all the One Nation volunteers of Narungga, without your support and hard work and many long hours, I would not be here today. after what was a very tight contest. To Ron, thank you for standing out in the pouring rain all day with no umbrella, just flip-flops, shorts and a shirt. What a man. To Andrew, thank you for your support and strength through some dangerous and hair-raising moments on the trips from Port Broughton to Brinkworth. To all the Sues, Sue in Kadina, Sue in Port Clinton, Sue in Kabowie, and any other Sue I may have missed, thank you. Andre, Lynn, Michael, Trev, all of the Johns, Adam, Seth, Isabel, Mick, Anne, Isaiah, Gwen, Corrie, Stuart, Peter, the congregation, the Snodgrass family, David, Vanessa, Julie and Will, and my neighbours Dor and Ozzy, thank you all. Thank you to the wonderful people who welcomed me into your homes for a cup of tea and gave my girls fresh watermelon from your gardens. It definitely helped us through the hot days. To those who doubted I could win, thank you for motivating me to keep going and for teaching my 5-year-old daughter what it means when someone is rude. As Summer said after one woman shooed us away at the front door, well, that was rude, Mum. It was a proud mother moment knowing I am raising my daughter right. To the One Nation team, supporters and volunteers, thank you. Thank you to all the farmers, business owners, FIFO workers, beauty therapists, tradies, foster parents, and all the truck drivers across Australia. Thank you for voting for me and for One Nation. We did it. We made history. I am in awe and so grateful that I am the first woman and first One Nation candidate to ever win the seat of Narungga. What a moment for all of us. I also want to thank our servicemen and women, past and present, who fought for the freedoms and democracy we enjoy today. They served this country with blood, sweat and tears, and I honour our veterans for all that I have today, my husband included. My great-grandfather fought in World War I. He was shot in the leg, came home and built a family. If it were not for his strength to get back up, I would not be here today. I will always carry his strength and fighting spirit within me. I believe Anzac Day should be a day we all attend to show respect for those who fought and died for this country. I also want to thank the amazing Senator Pauline Hanson, the very wise Honourable Corey Bernardi, the legend himself, the Honourable Carlos Caremba, my sidekick and a strong woman, the Honourable Rebecca Hewitt, the incredible Richard Henderson for your top tips and legendary advice. To my One Nation colleagues in the House of Assembly, David, Jason and Robert, I am so grateful to be on this journey with all of you. I look forward to taking each challenge on together as a team. Well done to all of you for making history. I am proud to be part of the One Nation team because we are strong in who we are and we have the guts to say what all Australians are thinking. We will be the strong opposition South Australia needs. And all of us are unapologetically ourselves. We have a diverse team, a makeup artist, a stay-at-home mother, a ferry driver, a farmer, a builder and a business owner, and 3 former councillors. One Nation is real and honest, and that is what Australians deserve in their leaders. If you take away anything from this speech, let it be this. When there is moral rot within a nation, a government topples easily, but wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. The godly are as bold as lions. When the godly succeed, everyone is glad. I know that with God within me, I can do this, not by might, not by power, but by his Spirit. Thank you and God bless.